Today I have a topic for you that's a bit embarrassing, but also something that I think you're going to find interesting. AI can now do a better job at creating names than the best naming consultants. And that's a bit scary, and that's also a bit embarrassing because I consider myself, in our firm that's been doing this for almost 40 years, pretty darn good at coming up with names. But we've been experimenting with AI every day. You know, we play with ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude and Pi, and the list goes on and on. And folks, they can come up with better names than I can. So anyone that's in our business that says, I can create a better name than AI, and most of my competitors, most of my colleagues still say that, I think they're wrong. Or at least they're going to be wrong very soon, especially when ChatGPT 5 comes out in the next month or two. Now at South by Southwest last week, we looked at some of the agents that sit on top of AI. And one of the things that was fascinating is what's called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. Basically what it is it's a way to overcome the shortcomings with the ChatGPTs, etc., whose data is not current, right? ChatGPT for a while was using data built on everything up through a year ago, right? But it didn't have the most recent months. So what RAG does is it goes out on the internet and it basically scrapes, looks across the internet for the most current, timely data, information, stories on the subject at hand, right? So if you're creating a name, and it needs to be very modern and very hip and very with it and aware of all the trends and the nuances that are going on. You know, having RAG as part of your overall solution is really critical and something that, you know, we're looking at and that you probably should take a look at too. Now, a couple folks that I encourage you to follow in this space that I follow every day are Shelley Palmer and Paul Rotzer. And you know, they explain it in a way that I can understand it and it makes sense to me without diving too deep into all the details. And then I also follow Mark Schaefer, and he's more of a marketing branding person than he is an AI expert, although he's very into AI as well. And Mark took great exception. I talked last week about this presentation at South by Southwest, and Mark just hated this title. AI isn't going to take your job, but someone who knows AI will. And Mark's exception to this is, it implies that, hey, if you know AI, if you know how to use AI, then your job's fine. And he said that's not the case, and he's right. If you're a customer service rep, and you're really accomplished and professional skilled at taking those customer service calls, and now you know how to use AI to maybe make you even more productive and do some research, does that mean your job is safe? No. I mean, companies have already announced in the press that they're cutting hundreds, if not thousands, of customer service jobs because AI can, across the board, do a better job, less expensively, and less time, and create less angst and better customer interaction results. If you're a radiologist, right, you went through med school, you know, you're trained in how to review X-ray or, you know, CT scans, MRIs, whatever. And now AI can do that and find things that maybe you didn't find. Well, there aren't going to be a need for many radiologists, right? And so some radiologists still be needed, right, to review the AI results and make sure that there's an agreement there. But if now all of a sudden a radiologist can be twice as efficient or look at 5 times as many scans a day because of AI, you just aren't going to need as many radiologists. And this is the same in creative spaces like naming, same in writing. And so there is seismic shift going on, and anyone that says I can always do it better than AI isn't being real. You know, I think there's this false confidence that until you start experimenting and playing with these things, you're not going to realize, you know, how good they are and how much better in some cases they can be than even you. So Mark's conclusion is, and Shelley Palmer also had this sort of same conclusion, is there's still this need for humanity. There's still this need for this human connection. And Shelley's comment, I thought, was really a good one. Generative AI is a skills amplifier, not a skills democratizer. And what he meant by that was, if you're really good at your job already and you know how to use AI, you're going to be even better. If you're average at your job, AI isn't going to make you incredible, right? That you have to have a certain skill set already. So in my words, what I believe the opportunity is, and the reason that I'm so optimistic and positive about AI is, we are experts in naming. We've been doing it for almost 40 years. We have domain expertise in that field. I've personally worked on thousands of these projects for all kinds of clients. I can then use AI to come up, yes, with better names than I can come up with on my own. But because of my domain expertise, I can then maybe wordsmith those names even more. Or I even can be astonished at something AI comes up with and then craft it and combine it in such a way with the right story, understanding the client's strategy and their goals to really up my game and give our clients a much better solution. So that's what I think the opportunity is for each of us, right? Become expert in AI. Stick with those areas that we have domain expertise, that we have real knowledge that we can add value, which then allows us to use AI in the most appropriate ways to come back with even better results for ourselves, for our clients, and hopefully for the world. So have fun and move forward with AI.